Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Sunny D. Willie, you want to say hi? I don't know, what my brain just left in that clip. It's like
No problem. What up, though? It's your boy Willie Styles in the building. We here. I'm here. Sunny's halfway here. So.
I'm here.
Between us, we got 1.5 hosts.
I've been here since 9:15, so I've been logged in since 9:15. Yeah, y'all see me on Twitter. I was posting. I was on Twitter posting stuff, and then I was on our website, GSTRadioshow.com, posting stuff. I just posted the video you did on our website, so go check it out. It's a response of Clint's question that he posted on his blog page. So we really did a video, so it's definitely on there. Go check it out. That way you can see Clint and Willie's. You can see Clint's question and Willie's video response. So it's dope. Check it out.
Oh yeah, I posted that was that last night, and definitely check out the video. It's on our YouTube channel as well. It's
Is that when you was texting me in the middle of the night, asking me something? Asking me about?
Yeah, I was trying to get into the YouTube account. Yeah, Sunny's got our YouTube account on lockdown, so I had to hack it to get in. So.
No, I don't got on lockdown. Y'all got all the passwords, so.
Well, Google let you lock it down there because Google was like, you got to go check with Sunny to get in here. I was like, dang.
Yeah. I saw your message and I was like, yo, I was half dead. Anyway, we got a good topic for tonight. Definitely, I think it's going to hit home for a lot of people, and it's going to prepare a lot of people, I think, for what's coming in the future for them. God willing and God blessing. So, definitely want to hopefully convey a lot of this good knowledge to these people out here. Yes, and if you're listening right now, you're on blogtalkradio.com/GST Radio. If you want to play back, you either on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, or on our website, as I said, GSTRadioshow.com, or on Blog Talk Radio, checking it out. People follow us there too. If you want to get some merch, go to teespring.com/stores/GST Radio. Copy our merch. Rep the podcast. Y'all love so dearly. Y'all listen to. We see y'all listeners, so we know that y'all listening. Go copy merch and let us know that y'all support us, or let the world know that y'all support what we're doing. If you guys want to call in and you feel like this topic has touched your soul and you want to make a comment, 657-383-1155. Willie, are you on Twitter or no?
Yes, I am. Yep, I'm on Twitter right now.
All right, so
about to start posting.
I'm on my Twitter, but yeah, I'm logged into my Twitter, but Willie's probably logged into the podcast. So you guys have any questions or want to chime in at GST_radio. We're going to jump right into the topic. Clint, we miss you. Get well. Hopefully, if the spirit moves you, call in. It's up to you. We understand if you don't, so you got to take care of you first. But, the topic we're talking about is the ups and downs of home ownership for those who are looking to buy a home, those who have already bought a home. Just different things that you go through. I know most of us have been through that. I'm currently first time shopping for a home. It's been very, very different. I watch a lot of HGTV, all that stuff. So, I love the listed Property Brothers, like all them, Chip and Joanna Games. What's their show? God damn it.
Oh, man. I know you're talking about, too. I can't think of the name of it.
I can't think of the name of it. Oh, my God, I love that show. What is Chip and Joanna? Fixer Upper. And, all the other HGTV things. So you get them ideas, especially when you're all excited about stuff like that, and then you just think of stuff you could do, stuff like that. So it's a lot to, and then you got people that buy to flip or buy to either like upgrade it and sell. You have to buy as is flipping, but or buy it to have somebody else live into it, and then they earn money off of it as an income source. So it's a different number of ways we can come at this, but we definitely want to talk about this because it's an experience all of its own. So, Willie, you said you own a home or you have owned a home?
Both. So So I'm in my, I'm technically in my third home, but for homes that I've gone through the whole home buying process, I'm in my second go around right now. So I just purchased this house, I want to say 18 months ago, and it was part of just the process of just trying to find something that I could, have enough room for me and my kids and have, proximity to their school. I had some requirements, right? I had some different requirements. I was trying to stay close to my job that I no longer have, so I ended up moving to a different job that's way further away. So it was one of those things. But anyway, so I definitely have gone through the process, and with the second go around, luckily I was armed with a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more experience. It had been a while, and just to kind of give you guys a background, I actually worked for a home builder and was doing what they call it. I was a closing agent for a home builder back in the late 90s, and so I lived through the whole housing boom, through the whole fall of the what do they call those guys? The mortgage, the mortgage collapse and all that stuff. So I've gone through all that while being in the industry, as well as I've seen a lot of ups and downs in that. As part of being a part of a home building company, I also had to get a real estate license. So I had to learn all there was to know about being a home salesman, and what it took to sell homes, what it took to represent buyers and sellers in that regard. So in that arena, so I had a lot of prior knowledge anyway before I owned my first official home. Well, I won't say first official. I had owned a home before, but it was more of an inheritance situation. But with the second one, it was I had to go through that process, the mortgage, searching for a house, the realtors, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of had some firsthand knowledge of how some of that was going to go. So it did help, but just like everybody else, there were some surprises, there were some ups, some downs, that kind of thing, especially when you're in the middle of it, doing it yourself. Sometimes, you get so vested in the way you want things to go versus how things end up going, right? So I think my first home, I ended up wanting to be in a certain area, have a certain type of house, because at the time I had 4 children in very varying ages, from just getting into school all the way up to middle school. So I wanted to have enough room for them to be able to run around and all that kind of stuff. And I was also trying to move into an area that was a little bit more suburban than where I was coming from. So I lived in Detroit all my life. And so I was essentially, leaving the city and going into the suburbs. So, at that time, there were a lot of requirements. And I think the first thing I had to learn was how to kind of pick and choose what was most important versus, what was just a want or a desire, right? And I think sometimes, especially when you're spending so much money, it's such a big investment, going into home ownership, is that you have to realize that you still have to make sacrifices, you still have to make compromises, right? And, the housing market, especially in certain areas, is so tight that, be it either for your budget or for just for the options that are available, it can get, very complex. It can get challenging to find exactly what you want, unless you're building a house. And even then, I actually explored building a house at that time, because in Detroit, the suburban Detroit area, we have a lot of still, open areas, a lot of still developing areas where, they're building new houses, building new neighborhoods. But even then, you're talking either it's a budget thing, or it may just be what you want out of the home. You know, I mean, I'm a big proponent of very well-built homes, of course, and especially being from a home, working as a home builder, but also just the way the houses are styled. You know, I hate cookie-cutter houses, really. I don't say hate them, but, you know, I just dislike having to deal with homes where it's like my house, your house, and everybody else's house all look the same, that kind of thing. And then I think that, you know, sometimes we also have to realize that, you know, we are going to have to adjust our needs, you know, for our area, you know what I mean? Because sometimes, you know, it may not be quite up to what you want, you know. So I think that's the first key takeaways that I had when I went to the home search early on. So what were some of the things you noticed when you first started searching for homes?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I did, which everybody told me don't ever do. Well, don't do, and I did it anyway. So I just got my approval letter maybe a week ago, but I was already looking at houses anyway, right? So, of course, I find this house. Love it. Fall in love with it immediately. It has everything that I want.
I already know what you did wrong.
Like, yes, right? I fell in love with it immediately before even seeing it. Like, looking at the pictures and everything, it made me excited because for me, even when I'm renting, the two things that sell me on any place that I'm going to live is the bathroom and the kitchen. Everybody knows those are the big sellers for everybody. And then closet space. So I'm like super excited. I get in there. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best ever, right? So I go there. I already know it's in a neighborhood that's called the Islands, which is near the water. So you have to worry about flooding. You definitely have to get flood insurance if you buy a house over there and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. It's at a good price. It's at the low end of my budget. All right. So the bank already gave me a disrespectful amount. I'm not about to even spend that, but I'm trying to go on a lower end where I know that I can be comfortable and not stressed. So I see this house. I fall in love with it. Tell my sister, because she's my real estate agent, I need to see this house first. Like, she said, wait till you get the letter, and we're going to go. Got my letter. Right. We went that weekend. I go there, fall in love with it, right? Now, contrary, we didn't even look this up. Like, I was so in the rush to see this place, I didn't even let her plug in her thing and go see what was up with it, because she has insider knowledge, and I'm family, she could look in and see, like, hey, no, you don't want to do that. But I was such in a rush, I didn't even ask her to do that. I just, ran head first. So, got there, loved it. And then we looked it up. So, it is being sold as is. We saw some inspection stuff in there and everything like that. I got all excited about they're going to do this, that, and third. They're not doing anything else to the house. And then they're telling me that I have to go get the certificate of occupancy.
Oh,
so,
wow. Okay.
It's already at a questionable price, especially for being the type of house it is in the bedrooms. And the space and how it is laid out. It should be more, but I wasn't thinking because of where it was, that's why. But I think something is seriously wrong with it, and so it kind of shattered. I ended up finding out something seriously wrong with it, so it kind of shattered my hopes and dreams. So you can't walk into something and love it immediately, and So I did that. It was a big no-no. I have since moved on. Yeah, I still want to know what's wrong with it, but I have since moved on and understood that maybe I need to look. But I think my biggest issue is, I'm looking, I'm seeing houses. Some houses we went to were horrible. Some of them were really great. One I loved was at the top end of my budget, and I was like, oh, man, I don't know. I got to finagle this because I got to work out the numbers because, even though I'm not an accountant, I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. So, even though the calculators on the sites are not 100% accurate, it's just you kind of estimate what you're going to pay. So if it looks too much to me, I'm not gonna do it. But I'm finding my problem is, my daughter is her last junior year of school. Next year is her senior year. So I run the risk of pulling her out of our district just to move somewhere else that's not in district. And on top of that, my son's autistic. I already go through work with his school district. Yells enough people showed up and even acting like a fool because people did, to get things right for my son. And then I'm going to have to uproot him and move him.
Oh,
so,
man. Yeah, that's tough. That's always tough.
That's my factors of what I'm trying to do. going forward. But, like, I've been looking and stuff, but I'm trying to get my hopes so up that I'm, like, completely shattered because I was, like, really hurt. I was like, oh, this is going to be my house, and it's not going to be my house.
Right. And so I definitely want to point that out to people up front is, like, that's one of, I mean, I don't know how many rules that there are up front that you want to keep in mind when buying a house. There's not a lot, don't get scared, people. Don't think that, don't fret, don't feel like you're up against the toughest challenge ever or anything like that. It's not like that. Buying your first home, buying your second home, buying whatever number home it is should always be an enjoyable experience. It should always, but you got to be armed with knowledge, right? You got to be armed with the tips and the tricks of the trade. And I think that a lot of people, they either don't know these. They either don't know these things, or they may ignore them. It's like some people, they may ignore them and not adhere to the unwritten rules of home ownership. So the first one I definitely want to point out that Sonny just definitely put out there on the table is don't feel like you have to buy the first home you see. And as Sonny kind of pointed out, it's not even about the first home you see having to buy it. It's about falling so deep in love with it that you feel like, oh my God, this is it. Because the thing is that it might not be a structural issue or a hidden problem. It may just be that you may not be paying the right kind of money for the right kind of home, or you may be buying something that's out of your budget, or you may be, going for something that you can't maintain in the long run. I think a lot of times people, especially in the home buying process, when you get that excitement that, oh my God, I'm going to buy a house and I'm going to be able to, have things the way I want things to be, and I'm going to move out of my parents' place, or I'm leaving an ex, or I'm doing, whatever's causing you to have to make this move and to get this independence. That excitement kind of just drives you, I think. And I think that a lot of people run into it kind of blind up front, because they, like you said, they don't ask the right questions, or they skip the right questions, even though they know that they're supposed to ask those questions. But I did the same thing with my first house. Is that literally the first house that I saw, I was like, oh my God, this is the house. This has got to be the house. It's, I thought it was kismet. I was like, we're buying it, hands down, no problem. And my realtor at the time was just like, she did level set me a little bit, but she also, she felt the excitement with me and was like, oh, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's go for it. And I had the unfortunate situation where the house was perfect. I still to this day think about how perfect that house was. It was the right neighborhood, the right structure. It had, this house was well built. It had all the amenities. It had the right neighborhood. Everything was like right in line with what I wanted. The problem was it was right in line with what everybody else wanted to. So yeah, and I think
that's my sister, you gotta be aware of too, because you be wanting something and it's such a good deal and a good thing that a lot of people might want it and you might not.
Exactly. And that's what happened to me is that, we went for it and it was like, I want to say, within a week, and I believe it did take a week. I may be mistaken, but all I remember is it took enough time that I felt like after 2 or 3 days that something was like going awry, and I was just like, what's going on? Called my realtor. I think she made a couple calls back and forth, and then finally, after about a week or so, she was like, you know what, you guys didn't get it, and I was just like, I wasn't devastated, but I was hurt, like, dang, like, what do you mean? Like, like, this isn't how it's supposed to go, like, that's supposed to be my house, you know what I mean? And I was just like, okay, wow, you know what? I got to remember the unwritten rules, the first house on the list is not always the one. And even if it feels like it's the one, you're gonna have to battle it out with somebody else, or you have to, because you're not the only one looking for a house. That's what I was about to mention, is that we got to remember, we're not the only ones looking for a house, especially when you're looking for a house in the summertime.
Yeah, that's my sister said. She told me if I look now, it's better now because I won't have that much competition. Once the spring hit and people get their little tax money in their summer, it's over.
It's over. It's completely over. Definitely.
Yeah, so if you find one now, it's better to get it now because you can bargain the price because everybody knows it's hard to buy for people to sell houses in the winter. And I said, see, I look at it like this. If I'm looking to buy right now and it's the winter time, it's good for me because I get to know all those things that I need to know. What's not the heater about the pipe about to burst. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to these houses, they got to be, you know.
Exactly. And people
like,
hide
so
a lot of stuff during the summer. They hide so much stuff. Yeah, they hide so much stuff during the summer that you just don't realize until you get into the house, and then in the winter, you know, your roof is caving in or nobody shovels the snow and you're the only one in the neighborhood shoveling. Yeah, you discover so much weird stuff when you buy a house in the summer and then you start living in it through the winter.
Yeah, so that's how I think like I said, if I could be in there, if I could find a place and be in there by March, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm rushing myself, but I would like to be either in there by mid-March. That way, by the summer, I'm already, you know, getting comfortable, you know. Because, you know, March is that it could be a whole blizzard.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah. It's been... And then like, I think that, like, even with, like, explaining the terminology about all the stuff, because, you know, I'm all like, what? Like, you hear it and stuff like that. So, like, you hear about closing costs, you hear about this, you hear about that, you hear about this. And I think a lot of people don't, like, I had heard about first-time homebuyer programs, and I believe that it came to one of our jobs. We had a function, and they came, and first-time homebuyer programs came, and like, so I implore you, if you looking to buy a home, go look up those programs. Some of them programs make you go to classes, some of them make you go to different things. The one I called didn't make me do anything. They asked for your whole life though. But I felt like I was sending my baby off to college without, you know, knowing whether or not she was gonna be safe, because I was giving them everything that I, like, you know, you giving them your whole life. Like the last 3 years of your life, you just handing it over to them. So. It was a lot, but like my sister had prepared me. She was like, this is what you're going to have to do. Like, and it was funny because I was so scared, you know, like, because I need to move. I'm in a 2-bedroom. I got a teenager and a toddler. Like, I've been needing to move. But in my city, to find a 3-bedroom house in an okay neighborhood, you're paying like close to $1,500. Like, even in a bad neighborhood, you're paying about $1,200. Or if it's like a really crappy neighborhood, you're paying $900 for in a crappy ass neighborhood where you might get your windows might get shot out. So, you know, so for all that, I can't really afford like $1,500 rent just to have a nice 3-bedroom in an okay neighborhood where I feel like my kids are going to be safe. So it was that my sister was like, well, look, I didn't really have credit, so I even like that, like we talked about that financial stuff like that. You have to be like, I didn't have credit, so I had 2 years. I took 2 years to build my credit through my bank. And I think one tax season, I talked to my bank, I sat down, I had extra money, and we went through the process of how I can build my credit because I didn't have any. 2 years I did what I was supposed to, got me a credit card, which I hate credit cards. Anybody know? I just don't do credit cards. Now I got one. Had it for 2 years, and I basically was, you know, using it while I was at work, you know, my lunch in the afternoon, my breakfast, you know, and I would always pay it well before it was due. So I did that for like the 2 years, and then my bank sent me my credit score, and I was like, oh. So I told my sister, I was like, look, and she was like, oh, you don't know. I was like, no, I'm scared. And she was like, you got the information? She had sent me the information again, and I was so, like, I'm one of the people, like, I'm like a procrastinator. If it's like a big step for me, I procrastinate because it's something that's going to matter, and I don't like messing up. So I rather, like, in my mind, I'd rather not do it than to do it and fuck up. That's how I am. That's how my mind works. So one day she came over to me and she was like, I'm gonna call these. She took the paper from me. She said, I'm gonna call them for you. I know your information, so I need your social. Right. And so one day I was at work. I decided to be a big girl, put my big girl panties on, and call. I called 2 places. The one place told me they didn't have the program anymore. The other place I called was like, yeah, you're gonna have somebody call you back. They did, and it was there from then on. And then the lady said, like 2 or 3 days after that, she was like, She was like, all you got to do is send me this. I think I had to send her my W-2s, which I forgot to send her for whatever reason. And she said, I'll have your approval letter before the end of the day. And sure enough, she had it for me.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, they're going to offer you a ridiculous amount because of your credit score. And they did, and I'm like, yeah, no. Because my coworker said to me, they're going to give you a ridiculously amount of money, but if you go and do that, they don't care about you having to eat. All they know is that you can afford to pay them on some level, so they're not worried about you eating, showering, paying any of the bills except for paying them. So,
well, and not only that, you know, not only that is they don't care about your other incidentals, you know, taking your kids out to the movies or being able to save up for retirement or anything, you know, things that you just don't think about when you're building out your loan application. You know, they ask you for some specifics about maybe certain types of bills, certain, you know, one thing that one of my loan applications didn't ask me about was about my student loans. And I had to remember, like, you know what, I got student loans I need to pay on top of all these other bills. So I can't just go, you know, dumping all my money into a mortgage and then, you know, not be able to pay my student loans because Sally Mae will come and get this house.
Yes, and this, you know what's funny too? Like the money that they offer you, you're just sitting there like, okay. So in my mind, I was like, I already know what I'm not going above because I had calculated how much I would have to pay and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with my bills, like, and it's crazy because I just got a promotion not too long ago, and I just applied for another title that's going to give me more money. But I probably won't get that well until after I probably buy a house by then. So by the time I get that, I'll have more income than I even thought about, you know, having. So based off of just this income, you know, I kind of know what I can afford. Like, I know, like, I don't like living beyond my means and stuff like that. Like, and it's just crazy how people do that. Like, I don't want to be buying a house and it be an empty-ass house, you know? Like, I'm not in a rush to do anything extravagant, but as time go on, like, I'm all about, you know, preparing for my kids and stuff, you know, for them for their future as well. So, you know, you have to be mindful of those things, and this is why, like, even though they gave me as much as they did, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go towards that. And then I'm like, it's tax season, I'm waiting to do my taxes and then keep that money to kind of put aside just in case. You never know. You just never know.
Right. Yeah, you definitely never know. And I think that's one thing is people, you know, they get excited because they're like, oh, you know, I'm making this extra money and, you know, the bank said I can afford it. And then, you know, next thing you know, you're in trouble. And I think that's one thing is, you know, and you know, I don't know how most people's budget set up, but I know with my budget, I'm like, I have to keep in mind what I make now. If I can live off of, you know, whatever I make at one point, regardless of whatever raises I get, I need to continue to be able to live off of that amount because, you know, God forbid, what if something happens to your job, or God forbid, whatever. Yeah. What if something, you know, what if you have to change jobs and they don't give you what you're making in those raises? I mean, that actually happened to me where I had a job where I was making really good money, and then they laid everybody off because they had financial issues. And so when I went to go to the next job, they were looking at me like, sorry, you know, we don't got that kind of money to pay you. And this is like, wow, you know, and you either got to make a choice of keep looking for another job or be, you know, unemployed longer. And it's like, I can't live off of unemployment for too much longer, or I can't live off of unemployment at all. So I'm going to have to, you know, take what I can get, you know, that kind of thing. You know, I mean, shoot, unemployment, they're going to hit you anyway. Like, oh, you had a job offer? You better go take that. So, you know, I think that a lot of people don't keep that in mind either, you know. Sometimes, you know, you're relying on that raise, right, to get your first place or your next place. And, you know, so, you know, you're kind of at that disadvantage. So, you know, don't get me wrong. You sometimes you have to get into that spot where you're like, okay, I got that ultimate raise, and now I can afford to buy my house. So, yeah, you jump on it. You take that chance. You know, your credit's right.
I'm working like my paycheck
you know.
currently.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you living, though. You know what I mean? Because some people, they're going into their first home because they've been working minimum wage all their life, you know, and now they've been in the new job with new money for 6 months or a year, and now they're like, okay, you know what, I can afford to buy a house. So, you know, can't take anything away from those folks.
But
yeah.
like you said, you still have to keep it. Yeah, you still got to keep in mind that you can't run out and do and take that bank money and just go buy whatever the bank say you can get, right? Because the bank is definitely going to inflate that number, or they're not gonna keep in mind that you have to live too on top of being able to pay that note, So that's the biggest thing is that you got to keep that in mind. You got to really know what you can afford. That's what the bottom line is. And if you don't know what you can afford, there's classes out there. There's free classes in a lot of communities that'll teach you how to budget. Oh my God, you know what there is? There's this thing called YouTube where all the classes are for free. I mean, people are learning how to do budgets, how to be financially conscious, how to be financially independent, how to anything you can think of, you can learn on YouTube. So, if you don't know how to do it, go on YouTube, you'll learn real quick. There's probably 78,000 videos just on how to budget alone.
Yeah,
so
I learned how to unclog my toilet. I learned how to unclog my toilet with dish detergent and hot water. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm talking about. So, so I think, I think people just gotta realize you gotta be able to afford what you're getting and be able to live on top of that. So keep that in mind, people. Don't just go out there and just because the bank say you can afford a $200,000 house, they want you eating out of cans of beans, when you really should be in a $150,000 house instead, So it's a big difference.
Exactly. And that's where it is crazy because I'm trying to stay under 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't care what they're trying to give me. I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that.
So another thing I wanted to kind of bring up was, and I know a lot of people don't usually think about this when they're doing their first time home buying is appraisals and inspections. So some people get into programs where there's certain appraisals or there's certain inspections rather that are required. Pretty much any home buying that you do, you're gonna require an appraisal anyway. So that's bottom line. If you somehow are blessed to have cash money to buy a house, then it's up to you then to make the decision if you want an appraisal or not. I would definitely still suggest it. No, I mean the richest people in the world still get appraisals on the properties that they buy because they still want to make sure they're making a good investment. So you definitely want to get an appraisal. You definitely want to keep that in mind that you have to get an appraisal. This is something that the bank is going to more than likely do for you if you go through a bank and get a mortgage. They'll probably find an appraiser and get them to come out and figure out how much the house is worth. But if you're unless you have some kind of special deal going on with the bank, more than likely that appraisal is going to come out of your fees. That's what Sonny was talking about with closing costs. You're going to have to pay for that appraisal. But what the appraisal does is tells the bank if the home price is in line with what the home is worth. And that's another not loophole, I'll take that back. It's not a loophole. It's another sticking point for, if you're going to be able to get that house. And that's happened to me too, where I had looked at a house. It was a beautiful house. Everything was great. But the appraisal came back and said that the house was not worth the price. And there's a whole bunch of different reasons why homes don't value at what people are selling. It could be that the seller is just overzealous. They may have, their heart in the house versus realizing market value. That happens a lot. In my situation, it turned out the house that I was trying to buy actually was worth, from the standpoint of the size, the features, and the property, it was worth the value. It's just they couldn't prove the value in the neighborhood because one thing about appraisals is you have to appraise based on close proximity. So homes have to be within a mile, 2 miles. Sometimes they'll give you up to 5 miles away, but you have to be able to show that other houses sold for that price in that size or whatever the case may be. So what the problem I had was that I was moving into a neighborhood where most people had lived in their homes 30, 40, 50 years, and they weren't moving. So there were literally no homes sold in like a 5 or 10 year period. Like, matter of fact, the home I was trying to buy was the second from last home that had even sold in that whole neighborhood. And the people had been there almost 10 years. So there's stats you have to contend with in terms of making sure that the home is worth what you're going to buy it for. And it's also a protection for you because people all the time, like I said, they try to sell homes because they're overzealous. They want to sell it, and make a profit. Or they're trying to sell it and they feel like, oh, my grandma gave me this house and grandma lived here for 50 years, so house has got to be worth $300,000. And the bank come back like, nope, it's only worth $250, or nope, it's worth whatever. But they're protecting you and your investment. You got to keep that in mind, So don't be mad. Don't be mad if the bank comes back and says, you know what, the house you're trying to buy is not worth that. It's not worth the selling price. Because that also gives you leverage, and that's what happened for me. I was able to use that as leverage. I was able to say, hey, you know what, I love the price. I'm willing to pay it. Unfortunately, my bank's not. So I'm gonna need you to come down on this price. And that's what happened. I was able to get some money knocked off of the price of the house. They also had to give me some incentives in order for me to be able to buy that house and get a mortgage for it. So it's a protection for you because, even if you think it's worth it, even if that seller thinks it's worth it, the market may say otherwise. So, definitely take advantage of your appraisals.
Yeah, but this is definitely a goal that I just had for 2019. Like, I said it, that I wanted to do this, but I was scared shitless to do it. I'm glad I was pushed to actually step outside of my comfort zone and actually do it because I'm tired of living in I looked up my square footage of my house, right? I'm going to tell you what it is. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. It's 690-something square foot.
Y'all got to keep in mind, Sonny lives on the East Coast, and I think everything is small over there, ain't it?
Yeah. So I was
that's
like,
kind of a thing. My first apartment was twice that size.
Yeah, and no, my first apartment was twice this size, and it was an apartment.
Oh, wow.
So
right.
But you know what? I moved from a bad neighborhood, and it worked for the time that it worked, and now with too many people living in it, it's just feel like we living on top of each other. And my son definitely needs his own room. My daughter needs a bigger room. And I just want my oasis of a room back, how I used to have it. So that's what's motivating me. But I know you, because I've been not really in a state of depression because I feel like I'm living on top of everything. And it's just too much. And even though I need to move, I'm like, oh, I'm scared, but I need to move. I'm scared, but I need to move. Just move. No, I'm scared. And then finally, I'm going to do it. So I did find one house that I really like. The price is at the top end, as I said. I'm going to see if we can see how the numbers work out and see if I can bargain it down. And if I can, that's going to be my house. And it's, 1682 square feet. It's a big upgrade.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice, yeah.
And I can actually set up my little office for my podcast stuff.
Nice. Gotta have the office. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
yeah,
it's not the floors. It's not the floors I want. It's not the shade color I want. But the bathroom and the kitchen and the fact that it's an upstairs washer and dryer hookup had me at hello. And I may need a stool for my cabinets, but that's beside the point.
Right.
My friend's like, you're going to need a stool. First of all, shut up. Don't say that out loud. I know it's just us here. Don't say that out loud.
Hey.
Why would you say that?
Before I go on, if anybody wants to chime in, anybody wants to tell about their stories of home ownership, of searching or owning a home, definitely hit us up, 657-383-1155, or tweet us at GFT_radio. We are tweeting in these streets. But yeah, I think that's the fun part, right? When you get to see homes that you want to get into and the things that they offer, especially, like you said, for me, I work from home a lot, and I had to have an office, right? So the house I got now, I have my own separate office. Before at my last house, I shared my office with my kids. They had their desks in there and stuff like that for doing homework and that kind of thing. But in my new house, I have my own separate office space. Got a closet and everything to store all my stuff. I'm big in IT, so I needed space for my computers and extra equipment and things like that. I always wanted an island. Like I'm huge into cooking. I'm huge into entertaining and things like that. So I've always wanted an island in my kitchen, and I finally got an island in my kitchen. I was able to find a house where I could have my own office. I could have my island in my kitchen. Matter of fact, it's an open kitchen area where it's like the kitchen, the dining area, and all that. It's all
that house doesn't have that, but it has the potential to do that.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, that's what's up right there. That's what's up. So that's always been kind of my dream, situation, and so that's the fun part, when you can just find what you want and you get it, and that's always, that adds to another level of excitement. I remember, when I was searching for a new house, and that was, and actually the island wasn't even on the top of my list. That was like one of my, wants, but I was going to live without it if I couldn't find it. And the first couple of houses I looked at, they had smaller kitchens, or they had closed-in concept. It wasn't open. And so it was just like, but they were nice houses. I mean, there was one house I really wanted it so bad because the guy who owned it was some kind of engineer. So his office was like huge, and he had a workshop and an office put together. I'm not a big workshop type of guy, nothing like that. I'm not into building crap or doing tools and all that kind of thing. But being that I have a lot of computers and a lot of servers and stuff like that, I knew what I could do with that space. So I'm like, in the way he had everything wired, lit up, he had all the smart home stuff already built into the house. His kitchen, it was small and closed, but he had all the brand new, I forgot what they're called, but they're like these shimmer tiles that go on the wall, and it kind of matches your counters and your floor, but all the counters were granite, the floors were ceramic tile, and then he had lighting, like LED lighting with the colors and all that kind of stuff going up to the cabinet. So it was, when you hit a certain switch or you ask Alexa to turn on the lights in the kitchen, it would light up the shimmer tiles. It was dope. The whole house was dope. I mean, and he had a deck on the back that was made out of I forgot what it's called, Tyvex or something like that. Whatever it is, it's like a composite deck, and it had lighting in the deck. I mean, my man had the whole house lit. I mean, it was dope. So you see, I'm still excited about this house. But it was a lot of sacrifices. I mean, besides the office, like all the bedrooms were tiny. My son's room at his mom's house is like 10 by 12, right? The house at that other house, the bedrooms, the biggest bedroom was only 12 by 11. So all the other bedrooms were like super tiny. Like I think one of the bedrooms was like 8 by 9 or 8 by 10, something like that, and the other one was it was weird. It was one that was really weird. So it was just like, there were sacrifices that had to be made in that house.
I looked at the house
sitting on a corner. It was one of those situations where you'd have to be, on the corner house, and it was one of those neighborhoods where the one side it was a busy street. So yeah, there were sacrifices.
No, it's crazy because the one house I looked at 2 years ago, that house was okay, right? It was like, ooh. The attic scared the hell, and this is my thing I told my sister. If I can't go in every room, I don't want the house. That's why the one house that I did see, I think I went in every space it had, and I just, it's the basement. I'm always don't like the basement, but I actually went down there with her and stuff and looked around, but I didn't go, all the way in it. But, exactly, I went downstairs. Some basements, I was like, hell no. It looks creepy. Not like and then, most of the attics that I looked in were finished. like, and that was the plus side for me because I said to her, I wanted a 4-bedroom or a 3-bedroom with a finished attic. That way I could either make it a playroom for my son or, you know, I think he's ready for his own room, so he have his own room. But the one house I went into, the attic was weird. I was like, no. And then the room that would be my son's was like a perfect square. It was so small. The only thing I could get in there probably was a bed. And then I had these mind flashes like, oh, shit, still going to be in my room. No, I can't get this house. The price was good, but I'm like, no, I can't get that because I don't want him in my, like, I don't want, like, he can have all his stuff in his room, and then he can sleep in my room. I don't care if he sleeps in my bed, but I need all his stuff. Like, my son has a lot of toys. I need them to get out of my room.
Right. I feel you on that.
Like, I need my oasis back, and he has, you know, when he was a baby, it was great, but now that he's a toddler, he needs to get all his crap and go. But,
yeah, I totally feel you there. When you can give your kids their own space. I mean, that, like I said, when I was looking for my first house, that was tough. You know what I mean? Because having 4 kids and trying to find a house that could house 4 kids is
I knew it had to be hard.
It's not impossible, but it was a challenge. You know what I mean? We didn't actually find a house that could house all the kids, but we were able to make it comfortable for them. You know, in terms of, I mean, not that we couldn't house them. You know what I mean? They couldn't all have their own bedrooms. But we were able to make it comfortable for them. So, I believe we had, I think it was 2 bedrooms upstairs, and my son I think he had his own room, and then his oldest sister had her own room, and then the 2 middle girls shared a room. It was weird because the third room had a kind of a bonus space that was probably really supposed to be like a little storage area, like a giant closet, like a little giant walk-in closet. But we made that the baby's room, where she was able to have her own little room. So she had the closet, it even had a window in it, which is what made it like kind of cool. So she was with it. And so we put her little bed in there and had her little toy box in there, and she had her own little window. And then the boy and the oldest girl, they had, you know, their own space. So you know, we made it work. And then all of a sudden we had 2 more kids. And it was just like, oh my God. now we no longer have enough room for all these kids, you know, to have their own room. And, you know, so my son ended up having to share rooms with his baby brother and baby sister as they were being born. And then, you know, as they got older, you know, it was just like, what I got to do now, you know. So I ended up rebuilding the house. I mean, luckily it had potential for being rebuilt to have additional space added. So the house ended up with 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. They had 2 already and had 3 bathrooms. So it was, you know, we were able to expand it. So sometimes looking for a house that can be expanded is always, you know, it's probably something people don't think about up front. I think I had actually thought about that before, just because there were certain things I made a sacrifice on. And I was like, you know what, in the future, when I get my, my big time high paying job, you know, and I save some money up and all this other stuff, I was like, I'll do an addition to the house or add on or do something, you know, extra to make it, you know, the way I wanted it. And so I was blessed to be able to do that. But when I bought that house, because of the way it was structured and because of the way it sat on the property, I knew I was going to have the potential for upgrading it later. So that was another requirement that I had back then. And when I bought that first house, and it worked out because, you know, I mean, 2 extra kids wasn't in the plan, but, you know, knowing that I wanted to expand on the house was definitely something that was in my plans. And because I had already planned for that, I was able to do it when my 2 babies, you know, came along. So it was definitely, you know, worth looking, you know, looking for something that I could do that with, you know. So
yeah. I mean, I just, and it's funny because my sister said, "What if you have another one?" I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, no. And then my daughter, you know, she's got one more year of school, and she's probably gonna go somewhere and live her best life. Or if she don't, she's like, I'm probably gonna go away to college, live on campus, and still come back, and I want my room. So the plus side is, like, that's why I call 1 to 4 bedroom that way, with a finished attic, because, or a 3 bedroom with a finished attic that way, is there's an option, you know. Whether I have somebody come stay with me, or my daughter wants the attic and I have one of the rooms downstairs as my little office or something. Like, those are things you gotta think about. And then, like I said, if you get a property that's on a big enough lot, you can always add on and stuff like that. So that's always a good idea. But, like, you think about stuff that you don't even think about. Like, the one house I looked at had recessed lights. And both the houses that it is funny because the first house I went to that I fell in love with, the other house that I really liked, additionally, is similar to that house, except for it's a little bigger.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And that the washer and dryer hookup is in upstairs, and that this one has a front porch, like a closed-in porch.
Gotcha. Right, like a closed-in porch. Yeah.
As opposed to the other one, the original one that I liked, had the big porch that I like. You know, the big porches you get down south. It wasn't that big, but it was big enough. So.
Yeah, I love those.
You have to
definitely
make compromises of what you have to make compromises, because you know you're not like it's almost like watching Property Brothers. You know what you want, they show you, and it's like way well beyond your budget. And you gotta let me get back to it, because I'm being unrealistic.
Yeah, I definitely feel you there when you have to make that sacrifice. But you know, it's like I said, it's always great when you can get what you want out of a property, when you can, you know, or plan for it. But like you said, it's the unforeseen things that pop up, and you're like, dang, you know, why didn't I think about that, you know? And I know one of the things that I ran into, and I always think about how minor this was, but how weird it's like, you know, one of those things where it's like you just never think of, one of those things you just never think of. So one of the things with my that first house I had that I had never thought about was the fact, and actually I kind of did this to myself, because when I rebuilt it, this is why I had an issue with this, but what they call it, the driveway, or the I'm trying to remember what you call it. It's like a spotlight thing. So when you drive into the driveway, the light comes on and, you know, lights up the whole front of the house, right? So if somebody drives by or comes, you know, into the property, that kind of thing, can have some illumination, right? So I had the light put up and everything. Everything's going great with the light for like, I want to say 2 years, maybe 3 years. No problems. What I didn't think about was that eventually that light was going to go out. And eventually I was going to have to change that light bulb, right? Why in the heck did I not think about the fact that that light was sitting in the middle of the house where there's no window, as well as it's so high up on the top of the house that there's no standard ladder that can reach it. So I'm sitting there with this light that I can't change the bulb, and it's now not working. So I was just like, man, like, well, I just didn't even think about it. Like, nobody ever said, hey, you know we're using a special ladder to put this up here, right? Or, hey, how are you going to change this when we're not here? Or how are you going to change this in general? Like, nobody ever thought of that. I didn't think about it. The people who put it up there didn't think about it. I'm just like, man, like, now what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So, you know, little stuff like that. Another thing that popped up that I hadn't thought about was in my first place was that it had a crawl space, right? So in Michigan, generally we have basements or you're either in the basement or you're on what they call a slab, which is just one either one level or you only go up. You only have a couple of levels that go up. But then there are certain situations where you will have a crawl space. So the depth of the crawl space it's never the same from one house to the next. I had a special inspector come in and check out the crawl space. I even had considered putting I forgot what it's called, but it's like this rubber stuff that you put down there because the crawl space was dirt floored. So to put this special stuff down just to make sure that if somebody has to go down there that there's no that you don't get all dirty and that that there's no leaks or anything like that. It keeps keeps bugs out, creates a moisture barrier, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, basically, I've always known this crawl space has been there. From the day I looked at the house when I bought it to the day I left out the house. What I didn't think about was I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. Who's going in that crawl space when something goes wrong, right?
Dude,
I'm like, bruh, like.
They want a kid. Like, get it in there.
Oh, believe me, I've thrown a 3-year-old down there like, hey, can you go down there and check on this light bulb for me? Because there's a light bulb in the crawl space. And the way the original owner had it set up, he had strung the light bulb string, that you can pull to turn the light bulb on and off. He had strung it from the back of the crawl space all the way back to the opening and tied it, with a little hook so that when you pulled it, you can turn the light bulb on and off. So, of course, once again, me and light bulbs don't get along. Now I just realized that, just talking about this. But anyway, the light bulb went out one day, and there was something going on in the crawl space, and I was just like, I can't see down there, so I need somebody to go down there and turn, and change this light bulb. So he might have been 4. No, I don't think he was 3. I think he was 4. So my son, he's brave. He's like, I'll do it, because I'm like, I can't fit in this crawl space. This crawl space is like 3 feet deep, maybe 4, and I'm 6'4", and then the opening is like the size of a small shower. So getting down in it, I could stand in it, but getting all the way on the floor, it's tough because I'm so wide that I couldn't even turn myself in a position to get down on the floor inside of the crawl space, even though it's like 3.5 feet deep, so to even be able to crawl in there. So my son's like, Dad, I'll go down there. I'll take care of this for you. I was like, all right, man up, boy. Go ahead and do this for Daddy. So I literally threw him in there. He slid in there, scurried over to the light bulb. Then he gets in there and realizes he don't know how to change light bulbs. And then I had to teach him how to change light bulbs on the fly.
Aww.
So it was a good bonding situation. I definitely appreciate my son's bravery and his ability to save Dad from the embarrassment of having to go and get stuck inside of trapped inside of a crawl space. But yeah, it was one of those things that I just didn't think about. It's like, man, one of these days I'm gonna have to get down in that crawl space. So yeah, sometimes you gotta think about being able to do regular home maintenance. When it comes to the spaces and the areas, like you said, you want to be able to know that you can safely and unfearfully go into a space and do things. So you definitely don't want to find something there.
That flashback to my childhood is why I said you got to get one of the kids to do it. So one time my mom, we got locked out of our house. My mom, I was the smallest person, so she popped me through the window. So, you know how the windows are? Well, how the old school ones are, like they was a little bit old. So she used to pull it down from the top. Yeah. So she used to pull it down from the top and then chuck my little ass over there and open the door.
Oh, wow.
Because I was the smallest and the skinniest, and she was like, all right, get your ass over there. She got it. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. We're gonna do this, okay? After a while, I got used to it. When we got locked out, I was going on the top part of the window and going in and let people in.
Right. Yeah, my oldest son started doing that. He anytime he would get either locked out the house, because he always lost his keys. Anytime he get locked out the house, or he felt like he wanted to try to sneak in, he started learning how to climb through his windows and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, like, after I got my security system, I'm like, I'm watching you. But yeah.
Well, guys, guess what? We're in our after show. Phone number is 657-383-1155. I want to kind of touch on what you were talking about with Clint's question.
Oh, right. The too much sex question. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you did reply on that one, but I kind of want to let me. I'm scrolling right through his little his website. Not little. I don't want to call it that because I ain't gonna shade you like that, Clint. I was just it wasn't meant to be shade. Because I heard part of the question, but when I was reading the initial question, when you read it out on the thing, my son was still awake and alive. So I'm gonna have to go. Let me go to our site because I know I put the direct link to the actual thing. So I didn't hear the initial question. I just heard your response. And the initial question was, has our society become consumed with sex? I think it's always been that way. Now, especially now in the social media era, it's more put out there. It's more of it's put on a platform. You know, back then you had to either they had the BET Uncuts, like they had the late night joints, and they had all the different stuff that people were doing after hours, and now everything is like all day, every day, cheesesteak. So it's just so much given out to us and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, I think it's become too much when we're, here's, I talked about this on the podcast before. So my response to this is, how back in the day we used to watch shows and it was like limited what they would actually show on a regular TV show.
Right.
And now it's not like that anymore. Like you can, certain things, like you could probably see nudity like it's nothing on a regular TV show, or sexual situations, are on there more frequently. Back then you had to watch the premium channels to watch shows like that, or, because you knew that those such shows would be there. But now that it's on like mainstream TV, it's just a little more. So I think for the kids it's a problem. For adults, we should be, it's there. We could choose to be engaged in it or not. It's up to us. But I think when it comes to the kids, when they put this on the show, because, back then, they used to blur things out or not have things, and now you got to basically watch the kids watching. I think we talked about it before. You got to watch the kids watching now because they might, it's a possibility something might show up on there that they don't even see, or you got to explain early because now they see it on regular TV.
Right, so, true that.
And, yes, you can have parental controls and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's out there. They can find it anywhere. So it's not as much censorship as it was before. So, yes, it's a lot going on now. And I think a lot of that, unfortunately, sex sells. People get up like that. I mean, I watch porn. I watch certain shows because of the certain, what it gives the content. Even watching shows like Game of Thrones, it's a lot in that. Last year, it wasn't so much about that. It was more about what was actually going on. So I like that. It wasn't so much sex in it. It was more of, what was really happening, the storyline being told. And, so it's expected to be in shows, Game of Thrones. So it was, how before it was, so much happening. And then, the last season, it wasn't as much. It was more about, the wars.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I think it definitely needs to be toned down a little bit, but it's unfortunately we live in a social media. Let's look at things right now. Look, everybody's twerking. People, most people post some twerk videos. I think Willie, you touched on this about the thirst traps. Sometimes I thirst trap I ain't gonna hold you. I do a thirst trap in there. I try not to make it as obvious that I'm thirst trapping, but I mean, it's signs of thirst trap. Come on, we know that.
Right.
But it's all about getting that attention. But see, you have to be mindful of that because, like you were saying, Willie, when you do things and you post certain things, it's that you also have to be very aware that you might get unwanted attention. Right, and you, because of how you presented things, they might think that might be your wave, and it might not be. But you have to, you can't be so naive to think that if you post a picture of yourself in a swimsuit, that if a guy say nice Hooters or whatever, blah blah blah, you can't get offended by that because you have to take the good with the bad. Like if he's blatantly vulgar, maybe, and you don't know that, but if you post that, you have to take the good with the bad. Right. Just be mindful. I mean, as anybody, even guys, y'all post some pictures of y'all in the gym with y'all chest out, sweatpants. I told you that style attire, gray sweatpants at that. Y'all know that if y'all do those types of things, we gonna look. And we're gonna look at you. You may really mean that you in the gym working out, and we like, yeah, you are. Hello, how are you? You might not want the attention. Right. You might be in love. You might be in a relationship. You might be married. But if you post that picture on Facebook, you had to This is why relationships have problems because you have to understand too. Not that, and I not to go off topic, but if I'm in a relationship and I post a picture and my rack is out, and somebody say nice Hooters, and then my boyfriend get mad, he has every right to be mad because I have to understand that. Yes, I can post what I want, but when I post certain things like that, it's suggesting things, or not suggesting. It's not suggesting things. They have to be open to the fact that people might respond differently, and it might bother him. Same way if he posts shirtless or with gray sweatpants on, I might want to poo pop him because some girl put a look in eyes and made a heart face like I won't stab her. You know, mind your business.
Right.
You know, so you just have to be mindful of what we put out there. And I look at it like this. I think I said this before. If you feel weird about posting it, don't post it. Or if you feel like you don't want negative attention, don't post yourself in a bathing suit, don't post yourself topless, don't post yourself in any type of position where it looks like you have to understand that if any way it looks compromising, that people can misconstrue it. Even if you explain what you're doing, people are with their eyes. People look with their eyes and don't look with their minds sometimes.
Right.
So you have to be very aware of what you're doing and the negative and the positive things that can come out of it. And it's not to say that you can't do what you want. You're grown. I do what the hell I want. I may thirst trap one day and be a bitch the next day. Or be petty the next day, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I'm well aware if I put the picture and my boobs are out, I can't get mad if somebody say nice rack. Thank you. What I'm going to say, thank you.
Right.
And move on along. Now, if you get too in depth and say something crazy, I might be like, yo, really, dude?
Right.
Not get inbox yet.
Right.
Don't say that on my post. You can say nice rack. I get it. My boobs are out. You saw them. They look nice to you. High five. Yay. All right. But anything behind nice rack and all the extra stuff, I think some things you just know you should inbox the person. Don't put that out in their space like that because you don't know. They got family members following them on social media, and they might not care they posted it, but just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing too is you have people who may feel some kind of way even getting a comment like that. They may feel like it's inappropriate or it's over the top, even though they may have posted something that makes other people make comments like that. They may still want to be acknowledged for who they are and not what they're showing, right? And like I said, everybody's different. Everybody's different. I think everybody has they're allowed to post what they want to post, say what they want to say, do what they want to do, within reason, of course, in terms of not hurting somebody else or not taking the rights away from somebody else. But I think that sometimes people will make either, like you said, make comments or do or say things or do things, and not realizing that you are disrespecting the other person. Like you said, or like you said, disrespecting the other person's followers. They have to be cognizant of that and keep that in mind when they're dealing with other people's posts. I don't know if certain people always realize what they're posting, because they may just be posting what's going on, right? And I'm always willing to give people a pass and the benefit of the doubt, just because I'm the kind of person, I want to have a pass and the benefit of the doubt if I do something that I don't think, not that I don't think, but I may not realize, is going to garner some kind of attention. Like it was like the other day, we were doing an IG Live, and my fiance is like on the IG Live looking at it, and she made the comment that she had texted me a comment talking about how good I was looking or whatever, and I'm looking at myself on the IG Live like I just think I look normal, like I'm not doing nothing special, you know what I mean? I don't know if she was trying to gas me or if it was she was legit, and if somebody else may have been feeling the same way, like I was trying to look a certain way. But that's something, that's one of those things where you may be thinking you're just doing normal stuff, everyday stuff, but somebody else might be liking it. You know what I mean? Somebody else might be digging it. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations, and I think I mean, women really could just breathe, and there's a whole section of men in this population that will put fire emojis and heart emojis and talk about how great they look, and they don't have to do anything. They could literally just be sitting at the kitchen table eating breakfast, and there's gonna be some guys who think that they looking the most fire and the most best thing ever. So I think that a lot of times we post stuff and not realize the attention that we're going to get regardless, no matter how basic we think we're looking, or how, and I've heard women say that too about, oh, I'm just in, sweats and a t-shirt, or, I got my hair tied up. It's not even looking like nothing, blah, 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 blah. But there's some guy that's always going to run up. There's always going to be some guy that's going to run up. There's always going to be some dude that's going to come on your post and be like, oh my God, you're so sexy. And, it happens, and it's nothing, of course there's nothing wrong with that. But there's going to be somebody who's going to take it over the top. There's going to be somebody, especially if the followers or the public is, that's seeing the item is going to just, go over the top. But that's life, right? And a lot of times I think people they post certain things and not realize it. So I think sometimes that happens. Not to say that you have to censor yourself or be cognizant all the time of that kind of thing. I'm just saying, just know it's bound to happen. It's definitely bound to happen. Like I said, it's happened to me, and I don't even think I'm like all that or nothing. So to have somebody say, hey, you looking good today, like, wow, really? Like I wouldn't have thought that somebody would think that at that moment. When I do think I'm looking good, I think I've thrown a thirst trap on the net before. Got me.
Yes, you did. That picture with you, that GFC radio thing, like a water. Willie was. So I'm pepper like, listen.
Yeah, I mean, us guys, we know how to thirst trap too sometimes, so, but
even
yeah.
Clint, he posts pictures of his hair, like, don't do that, Clint.
Right,
like,
Clint, he gets the dreads going, how he is. Exactly.
Like, come on now, because if somebody likes hair in their hair puller, you put your hair out like, what? Oh, so he gonna do that? Okay. Like, all right, okay. Like I be seeing y'all low key thirst traps. I be seeing them. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I gotta admit, my profile picture is a thirst trap just because I had just got the beard done. I had the oil all in it, so.
I ain't gonna say nothing, but one day I'm gonna say it though. One day Clint came to take me, like he do his little thing with his driving thing. He came, got me one day, and he had on a full gray sweatsuit. Sweatpants. I'm like, oh, so we doing one of these? Okay. Like, I'm like, oh, so he come in thought like a tire. Okay. That's like, I try to tell these guys. I yelled at my son dad one day. He went outside. He was going outside. He didn't even have on gray sweatpants. He had on regular sweatpants. I said, yo. I said, what you about to do? He said, I'm about to go hang out the fellas. And I'm like, all his business. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, oh, so you just like a thought? He was like, what? And I was like, he's just like a thought today. He was like, what do you mean? I said, what you wearing right now is the equivalent of me going outside with a little ass dress on. Thought like behavior.
Right.
He was like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm serious. You got thought clothes on. So, like, I don't care whether they're great or not. If they sweatpants, that's like going outside with basketball shirts. That's thought clothes. Like, first of all, I'm a watcher of all
things. The sweatpants, the equivalent of wearing the tights out in public.
Yes. Like, it's just thought like behavior, and I'm not gonna take it. So, if we go together, if you try to go out and you my man try to go out with gray sweatpants or any kind of sweatpants or basketball shirts, we're gonna have an altercation. You can say that now. It's not gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. Because somebody's like, okay, you want to go out with that? Okay. Gotta tell y'all, it's levels.
Right. Yeah.
I had my son call him a thought. He was like, yo. And they said it. I was like, say, daddy a thought. He was like, stop.
No, I'm calling his daddy a thought. But
you know what it means. I told him to call him that. He did.
Right. But yeah, like you said, like you said, and I don't think I touched on that, but like you said, it's the overly sexed society has been around for decades, if not millennia. You know what I mean? So, not that we're surprised, but I think like I said, like I was mentioning, and I think it's dulling, and it becomes less shock. There's less shock in it. You know what I mean? 'Cause I know when I was younger, and so y'all was babies when BET After Dark was out. I think I was a teenager at the time, so it was like, okay, they're trying to watch it, so it had shock value at the time. You know what I mean? Because like you said, that kind of stuff wasn't going on regular TV or regular hours of the day on regular TV, as well as things that would happen in certain types of movies. You wouldn't see that in a TV show. You would only see it in movies, right? And now you're seeing, what was considered R-rated in the 80s and 90s. You would see that kind of stuff in regular TV shows now. So, I can't remember. I was looking at some meme, and it mentioned about how the evolution of television, like when it comes to like what you see men and women do. And one thing they pointed out was like, in the 60s and 70s, when men and women went to sleep or went to bed, they were either in separate beds, or you would see them go towards the bedroom, but you would never really see them in the bedroom, that kind of thing. And it was just like, wow, I didn't think about it like that. And, then it evolved to, you would see them in the bedroom, but they would just be talking, or they would just, they would be doing other things other than, trying to have sex or whatever, And then in the late 80s, or early 90s, then you started to see that evolution start to turn again, where people would insinuate that they were going to have sex in the bed. Then in the late 90s to early 2000s, they were actually having sex on TV. And this is like, it evolved, right? And then it was there was that shock value. Like, oh my God, they're in a bedroom. I remember the first time I watched The Cosby Show, and Cliff and Claire were in the bed, and I remember them throwing the sheets or the cover over the top of their heads, and that was shocking to me. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they're showing this on TV. You know what I mean? I know there was other shows like that, but it was just like, for a comedy show, it was just like, wow, like really? Like, but they didn't show anything. It was Cliff and Claire, right? You know what I mean? They had, my man Cliff Huxtable had collars on his pajamas that touched his cheeks. He had Claire's pajamas was so baggy, Cliff probably could have fit them. You know, so there was nothing sexy about it. It was nothing, you know, over the top about it. It's just that it was just the shock value of, wow, this is happening on TV, and prime time TV at that. You know what I mean? Where everybody's watching. You know what I mean? And you know, like I said, at that time there was other shows that had that were doing way more than that. Of course, you know, had men with shirts off and women with not bikinis, what they call them, lingerie on. You know, in the bed together. You know, you had those kind of, you know, shows with that kind of content in it. So you did have that, but they weren't comedy shows. They weren't, you know, they were like dramas. They were on later at night, you know, the 9, 10 o'clock hour, that kind of thing. I think it was like Melrose Place or something, and a couple other shows. But it was just like, you know, all that at that time was shocking. You know, it had shock value, had a level of shock value. You weren't seeing it everywhere. You were only seeing it in those, you know, 1 or 2 places. And, you know, as like you said, nowadays, it's like, I mean, you between softcore porn on Instagram, hardcore porn, everywhere else, and all the craziness that you can see on Facebook, it's like there's nothing left.
Hashtag bring back our Tumblr.
Right, Tumblr. Oh man, they haven't shut it down completely yet, though. I think it's still.
No, but I heard somebody actually inboxed me because I've been serious about Tumblr. I'm mad about it because that was like my low key. That was my spot to watch all the things that I wanted to watch. Don't judge me. I'm a grown ass person. I pay my own bills. Anywho, but like my friend was like, hey, she was like, yo, you gotta go back on Tumblr. I'm like, I uninstalled the app. I'm mad at it right now. Until it comes back the way it's supposed to, I don't want to be tempted.
Right. I feel you.
I don't want to have that. Like, I want it all the way back. I want it top.
Yeah, because I believe they said that, you know, if the content is there, they'll make it masked for anyone who first get on the site. But if you follow and you continue to, and you just tell it to allow it, then you will get to see everything. But I think after a while they're supposed to even, you know, cut that off after so long. So yeah, it's just a tease right now because, you know, eventually it's going to be like, dang, like it's back to the same old, like everything else out there. So I feel you.
That's all I'm saying is bring back our Tumblr because I like watching shows. It's hilarious to me. Like, and it was funny. I had a conversation with somebody about it, and I was like, yo, it's hilarious to me, but I'm not going to get into it. But I just think porn is funny. There's always some stupid shit happening. Like, I'm one of the people that pays attention to the most dumbest things in porn. Like, other than the obvious, you know, I pick the net sometimes. But sometimes I just be in my bag watching, want to watch something and laugh. Like, especially, I'm not going to do it on here. But, yeah, I think it's hilarious. Like, I just crack up watching some porn. It'd be funny to me.
All right.
Like, I laugh at the inappropriate shit. Like, I do. I laugh at, like, the most inappropriate thing to laugh at. It's like, to the point where I'm in tears. Like, that's how funny it is to me. It's terrible. But, like, I mean, I watch it for pure laughter and sometimes for other reasons. But for the most part, it's probably because I'm laughing at it.
Right.
It's like ridiculously stupid stuff. I don't know. Like, back in the day, the old porn with the stupid music. Yeah, I remember watching it with this. Like, I was telling one of my friends that I was like, the old porn when it always was the high. Oh, it was either the mailman or the cable man, and they drop something, and next you know, with the stupid music, and
right.
I said that's when it was. That's when I realized how funny it could be. Like this
the golden age of porn.
with the what the fuck? Not the leotard or the yeah. And they be in the gym, and then they can go, yeah, I can, don't.
Oh, right.
I can go to class and porn.
Right.
With the big hair, don't do it, because it's been funny since then. I used to laugh at that. Oh, my God, that's so hilarious. But, yeah, we're going to wrap the show. Got a little less than 5 minutes to go. So, Willie, give us the info.
All right. You can get at me at Willie Styles everywhere. That's STYLEZ. WillieStyles.info for all my links. Make sure you hit me up at StylesRadio.com, which is actually a Tumblr site. So make sure you hit me up. Sorry, Sonny, there's no porn on my Tumblr site, but I got good music. I I used to post a lot of pictures of artists and stuff like that. I haven't really had a chance to do that lately, but there's always hot tracks out there. So, yeah, you do. So I post my GFT radio stuff there as well. But that's all the porn you're gonna get there. So
I don't post porn on my site.
Hit me up.
I just post a lot of quotes. I love quotes. I follow like a lot of quote sites, but I do follow porn too. Porn sites. You know, Rock and Shay, a couple people at
Rock and Shay, they're great.
This is one people that I found on there. It was called an anonymous couple. They was black people. I like them. But anywho, y'all can find me at @IamSunny_D on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Check my blog out, unreservedlyme.com. Look at Clint's blog, y'all. Definitely look at that because he blogs he posts something almost every day. What is it? akingstruth.com. Check that out. He's on Twitter at eTrendGrooming. I think he's still on Snapchat. I think it's the King's Truth, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think on Snapchat is the King's Truth. Check out our website, gftradioshow.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at GFT_radio. Find us on Instagram. Jesus. I see that. Now that Wanda is getting to me. SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes, the YouTube, Facebook page, GFT Radio.
Don't forget the merchandise.
Huh?
No, I was just saying, don't forget the merchandise.
We do have a Twitter. GFT Radio does have a Twitter. You got to Google us. I don't remember offhand, but we do have a Tumblr. I'm sorry. We do have a Tumblr account. So follow us there. Most of our sites and our music and our SoundCloud stuff go on there as well. If you're on Tumblr, definitely follow us there. Go get the merchandise, teespring.com/stores/GFT Radio. Thank you all for listening to tonight on blogtalkradio.com/GFT Radio Show. You can go there, subscribe, and follow this podcast. That way you're always updated when we post up our new show information. You'll get the information prior to everybody else getting it, so definitely go there as well. I guess we got to say it for Clint, right?
Oh, yeah. See y'all in 7 days.
See y'all in 7 days, right? Good night.
Holla.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Shopping like a CEO? My, look at those savings.
Right now at Staples, save like a big cheese, a big shot, a boss. Because this week, when you buy one expanding file folder, you get a second one 40% off.
Those are boss-size savings.
So start the new year right by stocking up, saving big, and getting organized.
At Staples, where there's a whole lot in store.
Ends 2/2/19, in-store only, valid on select assorted SKUs.